Throughout your life, you've probably been asked hundreds and hundreds of questions, whether it's on a daily basis or whether it's in the exam room. For me, the most difficult question I've been asked happened to me 2 years ago, when I just recently came back from Finland. I spent 8 years in Helsinki studying and living with my family, and just only recently decided to return to continue my education here in Thailand. Continue my education here in Thailand. That's the key sentence. When I tell Thai people of this story, they go insane. Their face looks something like this. They look like they're gonna cry, they look like their house is broken down, and they ask me, why on earth would you come back? As we all know, competition is very high in Asia, and we have millions and millions of students spending days and nights studying, trying to get scholarships, just so they can leave the country and get better education elsewhere, in hopes of a better future. The assumption here is, of course, that the grass is greener on the other side. That's always how we live our life. We're never ever satisfied with what we have. We're always looking outwards. We're always looking at other people, what they wear, what they have, and can only hope and wish that we had it. And when we do, we don't realize it, but the value of having it disappears. Something that we once wished we had, don't value as much anymore. That's the message I'm trying to give you today, which is that I want to show you that, before I forget, that actually perception is more powerful than you think. Perception has the power to actually shape the world that you live in. How you choose to look at things in your life, what happens, how you choose to take in things, will ultimately shape the way your world is and who you are. Surprisingly, not only do Thais react in such a way when I tell them that I have lived in Finland, it also works for the Finns. When I was there, and they asked me where I was from, I told them I'm from Thailand. They'd start pulling their hair. Or they're not doing it literally, but I could see that inside of their head they were doing it. They were going crazy. And there's a good reason why. Because so many Finns travel to Thailand every year. Almost half of my friends have been to Thailand, actually, if we just count the Finns. So, as you can see, it's not just the Thais who feel crazy about the fact that I came back from Finland. It's also the Finns who think that I'm crazy for going to their home from paradise. So, what's the deal here? I feel that I'm quite privileged to have had the chance to live in two extremes of two very different cultures and be able to gain perspectives from both of them. And I just want to show you a little bit of an example of how powerful perceptions can be. Think of the word fat. Now, if you're from somewhere from Europe or the Western country, fat is almost banned. It's almost an unacceptable term to use to describe a person. Well, believe it or not, in Thailand, on my first week of arrival at this university, I saw two of my friends that were girls that were calling each other fat as if they're just telling a joke. Nobody took it seriously, and I couldn't help but go up and ask why. You know, in Western countries, this is a very serious thing. But they looked at me confused as well, and they said, it's nothing serious. I mean, she is fat. Well, here's the thing. Jennifer Lawrence even promoted that we should ban the word fat altogether. But in Thailand, it's not just fat. We actually use animals to resemble fatness. Elephants, pigs. Thai people call each other that. Even it goes as far as whale. Whale's probably as big as you can go. Even calling people stupid. Thai people refer to stupidity as being close to a buffalo. So as you can see, what is insulting in another culture is not so in another. Using exactly the same terminology, the same word can have very different impacts in two different places. That's because of perception. Another personal story that I want to tell is of me 2 years ago when I came to do volunteer service in Thailand with 7 of my Finnish friends. One morning I woke up and there was this man who was on his wheelchair walking down the street. And of course, as soon as I catch him, I went and helped him out. At first he smiled and said politely, "No thank you." But I insisted because I was taught since I was a kid that we have to help disabled people. But then he just let me do it. He just looked at me and smiled as I was a child, and he just let me wheel him. I felt pretty good about myself on that day. But later on I found out that actually, it's not as beautiful as it seems. I've been told a very powerful quote 2 weeks ago by a man who was blind, that disabilities don't really disable people. It's actually how the society chooses to view them that make them so. What do I mean by this? Our culture chooses to look at them with pity. We look at them as if they're incapable, when in fact, they're actually just another human being. If we choose to give them the chance to be just like everyone else, they are just like everyone else. I also came back for one more reason that is of my own that I would like to share. So why on earth did I come back? I failed one of my big exams. I didn't exactly fail, but I came close to it. In my life, I haven't never ever done badly in exams. And my high school life was the richest moment in my life in terms of friends and parties, but I did really bad in school. That resulted in me not having many opportunities to go to university, also because I spent so much time partying I forgot about all the applications. I chose to view it as a challenge for me to improve myself and make changes in my life. So the final thing that I want to share to you is that your perception has the ability to change your life. So go out there, make new experiences, take in different cultures, appreciate it, and adapt it. Look at it from different ways and make sure that you share this experience to others. While people might not understand it right away, one day it might inspire them to take that road, to walk out and see if the grass is really greener on the other side. And they'll figure out that there's no such thing as a perfect green grass outside of the fence. And they'll look back and think that and see the green grass back at home.